Most security cameras, especially old school cameras, can be a giant eyesore. That's why in general we already installed UniFi Protect cameras. Aesthetically they just look much better. Now if you need it to be more discreet, UniFi typically has matte black versions of those cameras, and that's what we do. But what if aesthetics are really your main priority? In that case, I would do flush mounted cameras. And if you're paying very close attention, you would have noticed that we installed 2 of these cameras already here at this restaurant. Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Bogdan Shperny, founder of Apex One IT. Today, I will show you how to install that camera with UniFi's flush mount. It's a bit more tricky than your standard install because you do have to use a special tool, but I will show you everything that you need to know. Before we get to the install, let me show you what we're going to install. So first, we're going to use the G5 Dome Ultra, and this one in black specifically, and also the flush mount for that. These 2 here in both black and white are the smallest UniFi cameras with built-in night vision. So the IR sensors in here are rated up to 65 feet. And typically it's installed on the ceiling, although you can wall mount it as well. The field of view is roughly 100 degrees horizontal, and it only sips roughly 4 watts of PoE power through this little pigtail that it has. The best part, or important part as well, is that it's only $130. There are other options that have flush mounts also. So you have the UniFi AI Dome. It's 4K. It has AI detections, which is neat, very nice to have, but it's $400. It's also much larger. And now they also have the G5 PTZ in black with the flush mount. And that also has a smoked bubble screen option, which is pretty cool. This one, the Dome Ultra, also has that option. It's nice, but it costs more than twice as much, $300. It's also larger than the Dome Ultra. So for those reasons, we're installing the Dome Ultra instead. We could install the G5 Dome Ultra as it is. It's not too bad. If I take, here I have AirPods Pro next to it. I mean, you can tell it's not that tall, even if you just surface mount this. But we don't want to take the easy way out here. We want to do a very discreet install for this customer, especially in this location. And that's why we're taking this flush mount. It does come in black or white. It's just if you choose, the white camera, you're always going to have the black camera that you see anyways in here, the black lens, the bubble here, the dome. So it's just not as discreet, but they do have a flush mount in white as well. This is the bubble that will sit on top. It's nice that all the screws are included. They're kind of captive screws here. This shows you the basic installation guide. This is the magnetic cover. And the last thing in here is the release tool. The important thing to note with this mount is that you see these little flaps here. This is like your, maybe other old junction boxes you've worked with before. But it has a maximum thickness, wall thickness, or ceiling thickness of 1 inch. So you want to make sure to keep that in mind. Now with the actual camera, you won't even need this bubble on top. So you can leave that in the box. You'll just need the camera, and you can of course adjust this. It even spins and whatnot. All right, so we got what we need. Let's go back to the job site. Here's the tools that you're going to need to get this install done. First, we have a stud finder. You might need it, especially if your drywall is already complete and you're not sure where your cable is. Then you'll need a driver or Phillips head, so your regular number 2. Of course, we'll need a drill or some kind of driver, although for this hole saw that you'll need, so this is in particular a 3 3/8 inch diameter, very specific. You don't have this lying around. You could use a drywall knife, mark it out. It's just going to take a while, so if you're doing any more than 1 camera, I would probably recommend buying this. And this one specifically is a Milwaukee bulldozer. I'll have all the tools linked for you in the description. Here's our install point. This one, the cable is routed through and there was already a hole here, but it's not going to be an issue pushing that in because the hole size is quite big enough for you to just reach in there, find the cable, pull it out, no problem. What's nice about this hole saw is that it has a pilot drill right there, so you can center position it exactly where you need it. Now, if you don't have a pilot drill like that, then you want to make sure you actually start in reverse the hole saw it can help, or else it can jerk and you're going to ruin your finished ceiling. So you could start in reverse, and that just helps mark it out. And then back off, go clockwise, full speed. This is the actual recessed mount now, so I'll just feed the cable through. And you will notice this hole's a bit messed up. That's because I had to go past this stud. Whoever made this hole previously, I think the drywall guys, they made a hole right at the stud. But that's gonna be okay. It's going to be covered up by the mount itself, by the cover. And these tabs work like any old work box. They're going to pop out. You just want to make sure once you place this in, and if you want to remove it, you don't have to just loosen it a little bit. This blue tab has to come back all the way back up here and churn, right, in order for you to pull this mount out. So just be sure you're ready when you're installing this. And when you're positioning the orientation of this mount, just look for that black little dot on this metal tab, on this steel tab. This is the mount for the actual Dome Ultra camera. And the dot indicates essentially in which direction your camera will point. I mean, it's the front, but it can still spin a lot. It's just you don't want it towards the back, like the opposite. And this camera will point this way. So I'll have that, you know, this dot pointed in that relative direction. You take first that rubber boot off of the Dome Ultra camera. It's going to slide in over this RJ45 connector. Then just connect it here. Slide the rubber boot back on. You want to be careful though not to compress and pull out the connector as you're pushing this back on. There's some IR indicators. There's a light, tiny little light in there. So it is on. To lock this camera in, find or locate this gray dot on the camera and on the mount. So you want to align that. Okay, it's aligned, and then place it inside. It's pretty flush. Then I'm going to turn it counterclockwise. I'm going to hear a click and it's going to stop rotating. Okay, there it is. So it's locked in, but the lens itself can rotate quite a bit, basically a full 360. So then you can position the lens however you want. At this point, I'm going to grab my phone, adopt it to UniFi Protect. Before I put the bubble cover on, you know, and to actually position this correctly, you want to get your UniFi app. There's my camera popping up to adopt. It's adopting. I'll be able to view the image here. Okay, there it is. So I'm just looking at the image and I'll adjust it exactly where I want it. Grab then the bubble from the flush mount kit. At this point, you want to make sure your hands are pretty clean. There's no dust around. In this case, we don't actually use a Phillips #1 head to lock this orientation down as you would with surface mounting, because this bubble will keep it all in place. So just gently position it over. Then grab your driver and screw that in, the 3 screws. Now with very clean hands, grab the magnetic cover plate and it just pops right on. And look at how clean that is. That looks very good to me. I have the Sharpie pen here, your standard one. And look, it's like the size of this cap. I don't know, 1.5 inches. So it's barely there. It looks very good. Let's head back to the studio and I'll show you what the image looks like and maybe some settings we want to adjust. Here in UniFi Protect in the dashboard, let's take a look at the camera. So I did not configure this one yet. Here's the live view. And I'm not here locally, it's streaming over the internet, so there will be some delays. It's on auto quality. You can force it into high quality if you want to. One of the things, if you don't know about yet, is edit shortcuts here. So I can jump, for example, to the other camera view and jump between them very easily like that by adding shortcuts here. The view here is, as I would expect, very wide angle. It's about 100 degrees, so capturing everything I need to. Can take a snapshot. Let's go to settings. Under general tab here, these are settings we'll jump into later, but just wanted to show you image tuning. This is what you can adjust if needed. I typically leave almost every camera, unless it's a special situation, I would tune it maybe for like license plate reading. It's on auto rotate. You can adjust that, flip it every which way you need to flip it. There's a lot of ways you can adjust this in all these settings here. But let's jump to camera settings. And close this view, which is the same thing as this right here. First thing, I would name this, and this points at the wine cellar. And this is how you can jump back into image tuning. Select tag, so this is useful when you have a lot of cameras, and this will have roughly 20. Night vision is set to auto, and this location actually doesn't even get dark. There's always lights here. So you can adjust that if you need to. You can, if you don't want the IR emitters to go off, you can do IR filter only if it's getting like too bright, or like it's saying here. And some advanced stuff, restarting and removing the device. Now the recording settings. Sorry, let's apply these changes. Let's go recording settings. I typically set this, recording always continuous. I don't do motion events unless for some reason I'm not relying on the AI events, which that just means it can detect specifically animals, persons, or vehicles. So I leave only AI events detections just to find things faster. If you're actually just trying to record all motion, you'll enable motion events. This is all in auto compression, standard 2K. Here I typically leave the time to be displayed on the video footage and the camera name. We don't need the logo. And I'll apply these changes. This here is what we saw earlier, like motion zones, which we're not doing, but smart detection zones. You can go here and modify the default one if you want to, or you can create a new zone. Let's say we want to set one for people loitering. Say people, let's give it max 5 minutes. Sorry, we still want to modify, turn this off to modify the actual location. Let's say we don't want people, gathered around here for too long. And if so, we're going to get detected, notified about it. We'll get a motion event. Okay, then click here and make sure you click save. Okay, so now we have these 2 detection zones. Also, one more thing I want to point out with crossings. So let's say we'll put one here for stairs, just for people. And there's stairs right here. So with these, and typically non-AI cameras, non-4K, you can only set line crossings to detect in both directions. You can't specify which way it's going. So that's one of the limitations with this Dome Ultra. Okay, but let's save that. So now we have this line crossing, and that'll create motion events. We can create alarms for that as well. And all the rest of that looks good. You'll notice this doesn't have audio detection, just video. Some other cameras do, and that's because the G5 Dome Ultra doesn't have a microphone. So that might be a good or bad thing for you. I typically like to have some audio detections, recordings going on. So that's why I pair these with other cameras, and there's gonna be about 20 total in this building. And it's best to install AI cameras at the entrances, exits of this building so you can actually capture people coming in. And right now, I would say the best value and really the best cameras from UniFi right now are the G6 cameras. So you'll want to watch this video here next to see everything that the G6 Bullet can do for $200, which includes face detections at 4K resolution. And since you made it to the end of this video, please go ahead and like and subscribe. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.